Hello folks, and welcome to my review of the Hyundai i20. This Fiesta rivaling Hyundai has a 1 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine combined with 48V mild hybrid technology. This one's also got a dual clutch automatic transmission. The car puts out about 100 PS of power and gives a 0 to 62 time of just over 11 seconds. This one here is about £21,500, but the i20s do start around about the £19,000 mark. Boot space is a very respectable 352 litres, although the underfloor storage is given away to the hybrid technology. So the front cabin, plastic quality could be slightly better. Feels very tough, but it is all quite hard. Nothing particularly soft touch or luxurious about it, but it's massively functional. You've got nice rocker switches, physical buttons, everything's laid out in a logical place, and you don't have to dive through the screen to perform the most basic of functions. More on the infotainment system and the screen shortly, but I will say it's very good. Decent sized glove box there and a small cubby in here. Then you've got a couple of cup holders. Automatic gearbox in this one, which has got a proper gear selector rather than a twiddly dial or something like that. And all in all, it's a nice place to be. The steering wheel's very comfortable, and despite the fact that it's got lots of different buttons and switches on it, it somehow doesn't feel overcrowded in this car. It's one of the nicest steering wheels I've tried in a Hyundai, I would say. Got a crystal clear driver information display over here, and this being an ultimate spec trim car, we've got 10.25 inch touchscreen here, which again is very good quality. The other thing worth mentioning is that it's a very spacious feeling car. Despite it being a small car, it does feel very spacious in here. You don't feel in any way cramped. Now, rear legroom in the i20 is as good as you'll find in anything in its class, other than perhaps the Honda Jazz, which is maybe gives you a tiny bit more legroom. But there's driver's seats in my normal position, plenty there, plenty of headroom, and you could easily accommodate 2 6-footers in here. And even the middle seat is not a dead loss. You could carry someone in that middle seat for a short journey without too many issues. Aside from that, not too much else going on in the back. There's a little USB charger down there and a very small cubby. Rear door pockets are okay, not massive, and plastic quality could be a little bit better, but it certainly feels very durable. Right, so I guess the first question to answer is, how does this thing actually drive? And I have to say, by and large, it's very, very well. The steering's nice and compliant, fairly responsive. The suspension is just the right side of firm. There's not a great deal of body roll, but you do feel a few bumps in the road, but no point does it become uncomfortable. This little 1000cc 3-cylinder engine combined with some very mild hybrid technology, it's just a 48V system, actually gives you plenty of power. Where it lacks very slightly is in the initial half a second when you first pull away. It feels like there's not really a great deal going on, and then it makes progress very nicely. And I did quite a long motorway trip with it the other day, and it felt absolutely at home. You wouldn't have known you weren't in a larger car with a bigger engine. It was very good indeed. So 0 to 62 times just over 11 seconds. It just feels like that initial 0 to 62 delay is caused by the dual clutch automatic gearbox that we've got in this one, possibly when it's finding that initial biting point. Aside from that, the gearbox is fantastic. It shifts up and down absolutely naturally as you would want. It's very controllable with your right foot. It's fairly smooth as well. No problems with the gearbox at all, to be fair. Once you're out on the road, there's plenty of power. You're not lacking for power in this little car at all. Now for me, as I jump between different cars on a very regular basis, I always tend to plug in the phone and use Apple CarPlay 9 times out of 10. This is one of those cars where you don't have to do that. In this ultimate trim, you get a 10.25 inch display. It's crystal clear, plenty bright enough, and nice and responsive. The sat-nav system that comes with the car is actually very good, and everything about it just reeks of quality, and it feels a cut above most systems you would find in a car of this class. And even the lower spec model, so if you go down to sort of SE trim, you can still get, I think, an 8-inch colour display, and you've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on that too, which is very good. Where it does let the side down slightly is perhaps the sound quality. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like there's a slight lack of presence in the sound. but I am nitpicking with that one, to be fair. In terms of the actual sound coming from the car, it's not the most well insulated cabin I've ever been in. You do get a little bit of road noise, you get a little bit of wind noise, but it's not terrible for a small car like this, in fairness. Now, this is not a cheap car by any means, and its price point means it's competing directly with things like the VW Polo and the Ford Fiesta. But the car really does make a really good case for itself against both of those cars. And I think if you are in the market for a Fiesta or a Polo, come and try out an i20, because you might be surprised. And obviously, if you're into hot hatches, the i20N is one of the most exciting on the market. It's a monster of a little car, so I'd strongly recommend you check one of those out. The hybrid technology in this car, very mild as it is, feels like to me it's being pointed towards assisting in the performance of the car rather than the efficiency. Having said that, it is very efficient. I mean, I've done a couple hundred miles in the car, very mixed driving, and I'm getting 46.9 mpg in the real world. I think WLTP on it is just over 50. And whilst other cars might return better fuel efficiency, I don't know if they'll give you the same kind of performance with that efficiency. Again, we're not talking 0 to 62 times here, we're talking real world driving. So that's getting out on the road, overtakes, changing lanes on the motorway, all those kind of things that you do in the real world that you never see in numbers. So the downsides to this car really are very few. Some of the interior plastics could be a bit nicer, and it could be a little bit cheaper. I think if it were 1,500 quid less, it would open itself up to far more buyers. Although you have to say, it's a quality car, it's very well designed. Not every one of its rivals is going to come with a 5-year warranty, is it? And residual values will be great on this car too, so that's certainly something to consider when you are looking at price, is how much you're going to get out of the car when you've done with it, because it might make an expensive car look very cheap. In terms of the plus points of the car, it's got to be how roomy the cabin is. You know, both up front and in the back. You could carry 4 6-footers in this in comfort on a reasonably long journey. No one's going to grumble. You've got 350 odd litres of boot space, which is pretty good for the class, and it's just a great little car to drive. It's one of those cars you don't need to think about, you just get in it and drive it. It feels like an old glove, you know, it feels familiar, it feels comfortable, it just feels good. And then finally, I would think you've got to say the infotainment system is definitely one of the best in this class, especially in this ultimate spec car, which is, you know, benefits from that larger screen. So I really think that is a massive plus point for this car, especially considering what's on offer in some of its close rivals. So how do I feel about this car going back? I'm going to miss it, if I'm being completely honest. I've really enjoyed having a small car for the week, just nipping around in town in it. It's very nimble, it's quite versatile if you do have a couple of passengers on board. So I've missed this car. For us, it would make a great second car in the household. There's plenty of space in it. It's reasonably efficient, it's not going to let you down, and it's just a very, very easy car to live with. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'll try to keep a nice mix of internal combustion engine cars, hybrid cars, and of course electric cars on the channel. You'll find a weekly car news roundup on my channel, and lots of car leasing content. And speaking of car leasing, if you'd like to see the latest offers available on the Hyundai i20, please click the link in the video description and pinned as the top comment. That will take you straight through to Lease Loco for a search on today, the day you're looking at this video. All the latest deals, all updated in real time. Thanks ever so much for watching, folks. I'll see you next time.